Thinking about the organization and organizations that operate in and around this, I want to talk about a legacy organization, or an organization that's been working since like 1984, and it's the Cult of the Dead Cow. Now, the Cult of the Dead Cow started before the World Wide Web was even born, which is 1993. So they've been creating these sort of hacking and interventionist sort of pieces for quite a long time. Their focus is really about freedom within the network, and like sort of freedom of communication, freedom of speech, freedom of access, and that sort of thing, which in this country doesn't sound like a great, there's no sort of tremendous issue around it, but when you think about other nations which have restricted speech, and you think about the ability that you have in this country to hear sort of dissenting voices that are not that's not supported in other places, you can understand the need for this sort of thing. Another an arts organization that's been around for a long time is Artmark. They have created a corporate shell for themselves to shield the individual members from lawsuits, among other things, because they're culture jammers and troublemakers and that sort of thing as well. But they've also used their corporate entity as a clearinghouse for ideas. And in fact, the Yes Men have greatly benefited from these ideas of working with this different sort of clearinghouse. And it is about bringing people or bringing different artists and projects together in a particular space. Now, Artmark hasn't been very active lately. In fact, I think that the site is, it's pretty much a legacy piece at this point. But it is still worth sifting through to see how some of the projects came into being. I wanted also to talk about a group called eToy. eToy has also adopted the corporate structure, but as much more of a sort of a guiding principle to the creation of art. And eToy is a group of artists, and their production is art. But one of the things that they've done to sort of support this is they've issued stock. So what it is if you do something for eToy, they can give you stock. And the stock is tradable and sellable, as well as it has sort of an established value to it. Now, the individual stock certificates, also being printed objects, are also works of art. Now, something that happened at the end of at the end of the 20th century was that there was a corporation. With the .com boom, there were corporations that were like moving into this online space, and there was a company called eToys that sold toys online. And eToy was aware of this. They had been around. They had been in the space since 1994, and they had sort of established their brand, as it were, as artists. But eToy was not comfortable with that. And eToys, and you can even tell with the difficulty that I'm having, sort of moving back and forth between the language of the two spaces, that there is a little bit of potential confusion there. Well, so eToy ended up trying to buy the eToys domain from them. I believe that they were offered $500,000, which is really interesting. I can't imagine a project that I have being offered a huge sum of money like that for it and not really seriously considering taking it. But after that failed, they took it into courts, and they tried to have the name forcibly removed and owned by eToy. Being artists and troublemakers, this actually spurred the arts group on to going to war with this .com. And what we're looking at right now is sort of the chart over the span of 5-6 months that show the steady decline in the price of eToy the commercial venture and the activity of eToys, the artist group. Now, of course, they're going to claim complete credit for this, but this was also happening during sort of the dot-com, when the bubble burst. So it's hard to say for sure what caused what, but certainly they bill it as one of the most expensive artworks ever created. They've also created another, or the project that they're working on right now is about like sort of looking forward to what is left, or what is left behind, and creating this sort of digital creation of self. So what I want to do is look at a brief excerpt from one of their videos.
eToy Corporation's Mission Eternity is crossing the deadline. Independent of religious beliefs and scientific speculations, Mission Eternity explores life after death. The operation is based on facts. All we know for sure is that we leave behind mortal remains and a massive body of information. Dead human beings continue to exist as biomass and traces in the global memory, in many online services, in governmental databases, in family archives, in professional records, and in emotional data stored as electrical impulses in the brains of friends and families. At the heart of Mission Eternity stands the creation and the ultra-long-term conservation of so-called Arcanum capsules, interactive portraits and digital communication systems for human beings facing death. Each Arcanum capsule contains digital fragments of the life of a so-called pilot, precisely defined visual information and voice samples, messages to the afterworld, social network maps, a post-mortem activity plan for each user, and more.